Yo, what's going on? It's Paul. I'm about a week and a half late on this recap video just because I got immediately sick right after finishing the race. The next day, it just felt like I was having a fever and probably had the flu. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into my half marathon PR run at the San Jose Rock and Roll half. Damn, what can I say? I don't even know how this happened. You watch throughout the older videos or the past videos during the training update, you probably can see how pessimistic I am in terms of not having a great training schedule. There was a 6 week training block that I just did not feel confident in. It felt rushed. Didn't have really good runs prior to the race, except for that one run, maybe like during my last run before deload week, where I kind of got the high a little bit. Felt really good, but yeah, I wasn't too confident. So was in my mind really saying like if I could get anything under a sub 150, I'd be happy with it. Just because I didn't put in that much work, I was just kind of didn't prepare myself. Yeah, and that just kind of shows with the lack of experience and knowledge in running, where I just did not prepare properly. Yeah, so night before the race, could not sleep as usual. Wanted to get into bed around at least 11. Ended up sleeping at like 12:30. Was trying to get up at 5. Ended up waking up at 5:30, and wanted to get to the kind of the start line and check in and kind of do everything that I needed by at least 6:30. Didn't end up getting to the start line until probably like 20 minutes before the start line. The race didn't start at 8, so thank goodness. But yeah, I didn't really get to do a lot of my stretching. I was supposed to meet a friend, Hart, who you've seen in the Vaporfly Next Percent video. Shout outs to him. He's running Ventura this weekend, so good luck to him. But yeah, I was supposed to meet him because he got there early, because he's usually prompt and I'm usually late. He was in Corral 1. I was trying to get up to Corral 1, but couldn't get up to Corral 1, so I ended up staying in Corral 2. Yeah, so, this even before starting the race, I was like, damn, I couldn't even go through my routine. I was kind of rushing, etc. I don't really know how this race was going to turn out. So, just made up a plan kind of like a week before and just try to keep that plan for that sub 150. Ended up, what is it, half mile in, ran in my warm-up pace of around like 9:30 in between that race, in between that range. And then I look to my right during like the half mile point and see the 1:45 pace group kind of passing me. And at that moment, I was like, you know what, let's just try it. And I think there wasn't a lot of thought put into that moment. It was kind of like, hey, let's just join that group and see if I can run and keep up with them for however long. And so the plan was really to, once I started to get tired, I'll back off and back out of the group. So ended up running with that group. They were at probably around an 8 to 8:10 pace, which was way too fast for me. But I try to keep up as much as possible at that point. Usually I don't warm up doing 8-minute miles, but that pace group was pretty fast. Didn't really know what to do in a pace group, because do you talk to people? Do you just stay quiet? This is my first time joining a pace group. It was nice. It was nice. I think after mile probably like 4 to 5, that's where I kind of got into rhythm. Really was like warming up more so, and just really kind of keeping up with that pace. The weather was there was supposed to be a heat wave later on in the day, so the incentive really was to finish as fast as possible before that heat wave kind of came on. Shout outs to the pacer. He was pretty amazing in terms of really stopping or slowing down at the hydration stations, so that folks can grab water, can grab Gatorade, grab gels if they needed to. So I made it a purpose to get some water every single time we stopped, even though I was carrying my electrolyte and my water bottle, etc. I think that's something that's like I'm lacking in terms of a hydration plan. So my thing was just to take sips as much as possible, take gels, extra gels if I needed to, just in case. I didn't feel kind of like the tiredness until around mile 8. So at that time I was already keeping up he was kind of speeding up a little bit, so we were more so near the sub 8-minute mile pace for each of the miles around that time. And so around mile 8, I was kind of hearing people kind of like huffing and puffing around me in the pace group. People have already kind of dropped off, and I think my mentality was really trying not to, I guess like cave and really like think to myself like, hey, people around me are getting tired. Maybe I'm gonna get tired as well too. So I was just telling myself like, hey, you're fine, calm down, lock in, and just continue with the pacer. Just go side by side. Really conserving my energy up until that point made me okay for mile 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, so as people were dropping off at mile 10, the pacer was really just saying, hey, there's 5K left. This is your move to go, to take off if you need to. Part of me wanted to kind of leave the group and just kind of take off, but I was just waiting for that kind of like moment where I felt like, okay, it's time to go. And that moment came at mile 11. And funny enough, at mile 11 and a half, that's when my both of my calves started to cramp. And this happens all the time during my marathon, where like towards the end, towards like the last 10K, when it becomes an actual race, where my body will completely just betray me and shut down. So apparently at half a mile before the race finish, I started to experience cramps. I did this thing where I was like limping the whole way, and yeah, it was like not a good moment. At that point I was kind of like running out of my electrolytes. I was like taking in my caffeine gels. I was trying to take in as much of my base salts as possible just to kind of keep up. And something that something that I'm reminded of how great the running community is that like mile 11, like 0.75 is when I was kind of talking to myself like, hey, you can freaking do this. So I was doing self-talk, and then maybe I was talking a little bit too loud to myself in terms of like, hey, you can break sub 145. Next to me was this dude, or this man that I was chasing the whole time, who had a similar hat that I owned, that I was like chasing throughout the whole race. I caught up to him, and I think he heard me say what I needed to say to myself, and he was like, hey man, get after it. It's time for you to go, like push through it, etc., etc. And he just kind of gave me like these words of encouragement that I just needed that, and I just kind of sucked it up and just started to take off. And it's crazy to think about the last 2 miles of the half were my fastest mile times. They're around kind of the 7:50, 7:45, and at that point I was already keeping the pace of 8 minutes the whole time. And that was kind of crazy. I ended up kind of passing the finish line and just kind of let out this like scream and roar or whatever. I didn't curse this time, but that's also a reminder of like why I run, and these like these finish line moments that I chase, and that are kind of like addicting to me. Yeah, so I ended up crossing the finish line. I didn't know my official chip time, so I was kind of waiting for that. But I think at that point I turned around to kind of look for the guy that told me to go for it. Gave him a hug, thanked him for just kind of his words when I kind of needed them the most, and then I waited for the pacer to come through and thanked him as well too. I reflect back at the moment that I that I cross that finish line and really think about, like, I had I don't think that like it was possible for me to run the time that I ran if it wasn't for the amount of support on Instagram, on YouTube, in real life, on Strava, and just basically what I'm saying is that the capacity that I think that I'm at is far lower than the capacity that the community of runners know that I have and know that I can do. And this race was kind of like a testament to how powerful the running community is and how great it is. I think just having a stranger kind of like tell me at mile, what is it, 11.75 to go after and to really get it reminds me that, man, I would be a far better runner if I didn't have this mentality of like I need to do this stuff by myself. I need to always do solo runs. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I think about it, I'm like, what if the key to success is the community of runners that are so prevalent in different mediums, also in real life. So yeah, I think in conclusion, it's kind of a thank you to the community of runners that have continually supported me and who just found me on Instagram, who just found me on YouTube, and just kind of sending messages here and there. I could not do this without y'all. And I think for me, I need to kind of change the way I think about how I train, my capacity, and what I can really do when time comes, when it's race time. I talk a lot about myself not being as disciplined as I can in my training, but I think a big part of it is me not being able to be accountable to myself and maybe having to be accountable to other people and people who believe in me more than I believe in myself. So this cool little iPod medal was definitely earned because and my PR time was definitely earned because of the community of runners everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is just my conclusion. Maybe I'm like still a little drugged out from the NyQuil, but I think my appreciation for folks who support me on here is real, and yeah, I'm excited to see what I can unlock when I actually stay accountable and keep myself accountable to the community. Whoa, that was a long rant. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you next time. Peace.